Welcome to the Legal CFO.
Hello and welcome to the show where clarity meets profitability. This is the Legal CFO with Ryan Kimler, the founder of NetProfit CFO. If you're a law firm owner looking to get a handle on your finances, grow your bottom line, and finally take control of your numbers, you're in the right place. Each episode, Ryan's going to break down the business side of law with straightforward strategies to help your firm run smarter, earn more, and scale with confidence. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today's episode is going to be about what a CFO really does for your law firm. Ryan, welcome. So great to have you here.
Thank you. Absolutely excited to get going today and excited to talk about this.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. You've got your own podcast, another podcast that you do. So you're seasoned. So we should have a great conversation here.
For sure.
So tell me this, what exactly does a fractional CFO do? And how is that different from a bookkeeper or an accountant?
Yeah, love the question. So let's lay the foundation and let's start at the lowest level that you should really have in your business on the accounting side of things. And let's talk about bookkeepers. So bookkeepers are going to track all of the money that is received and spent in your law firm or in your business, right? So when the bookkeeper's job is done, all of the bank transactions have been accounted for, and all of those transactions end up on what we call financial statements. So financial statements would be things like your profit and loss or income statement. Those are the same thing, just different terminology. Your balance sheet, your statement of cash flows. So when a bookkeeper's job is done, you have kind of like an initial rough draft of those statements. Then you have an accountant. Now, accountants sometimes they're doing your taxes, sometimes they have their CPA, sometimes they don't, but they're adjusting entries if that's required. Sometimes adjusting entries are required. I'm not going to get in the weeds on that, but that'll kind of finalize your financial statements that are going to put you in ready to go and file with the IRS. All right. Then you also have an accountant that files your taxes. So they're going to take the final statements that have been adjusted if they need to be, and they're going to file them with the IRS. So everything that I've just listed is really compliance work, right? I mean, you can take your financials from your bookkeeper, you can kind of look at them, get some insights, probably grow your business, maybe improve profits. But everything that I've just listed really looks rearward and is compliance focused. Okay. And so when you get a CFO in your firm, even if they're part-time, even if they're fractional, that's really the first position that you have in your accounting and finance department that is forward-looking and that is working with you on strategy. Our job as fractional CFOs or part-time CFOs is really to help you grow your business, make it more profitable, and make it produce more cash flow. And cash flow is where you're actually going to see that change in the bank. And so if a CFO is doing their job right, they're going to help you grow those things. And in turn, that's going to make your business more valuable. It's also going to help you as the owner take home more money. And it's going to ensure that you have enough money to continue to grow your business and keep it financially healthy.
Okay. All right. That was a great description. Well done. Well, thanks for joining. No, I'm just kidding. So when does a law firm need somebody like you?
Yeah, absolutely. So anymore, things are really, really efficient, right? Especially after COVID, we've got a lot of folks working remotely.
Sure.
So let me back up and cover a couple things of the other positions that I covered. Once you hit the six-figure mark, if you're doing more than $100,000 in revenue in your firm, you should hire a bookkeeper or bookkeeping firm. Again, they can be outsourced, they can be remote, and you can find someone that specializes in working with law firms. That's the beauty of, again, being able to work remotely. You don't have to hire the bookkeeper that just comes in, that's local to your neighborhood, right? And probably does a lot of other businesses as well and other types of businesses. You can really get someone that specializes in law firms. And then as far as on the CFO side, I like to tell clients, once you've passed that $500,000 mark in revenue and you're really trending towards $1 million, you can afford a part-time CFO. That's probably earlier than most law firm owners think. But as you trend towards $1 million and you're growing that small team, you're definitely going to face some financial challenges that having someone that you trust and someone that's really looking at strategy with you in your corner is really, really going to help as you try to get to that $1 million mark.
And would you say that $100,000 mark, just out of curiosity, is that a good benchmark for most businesses, or are you just talking primarily law firms?
Yeah, that's most businesses, right?
Really?
Because,
okay.
I mean, outsourced bookkeeping services, you can probably get anywhere between like $250 a month, probably up to like that $600-700 a month range.
Mm-hmm.
And even if let's just say we're $500 a month, just to be a round number right in the middle, for $6,000 a year, you're taking the finances off of your plate, which most business owners are not experts at, right?
Sure.
And yeah, and right, the number of hours that it takes a bookkeeper to do it, that they're in it and they're doing it all day versus the number of hours it takes you to do it, it's just going to be way more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But what I also like to talk to owners about is, what does that free you up to do?
Right.
And the easy thing to say for lawyers, especially ones that bill hourly, is, well, you could turn around and bill those hours. Okay, sure. But to me, that's not even the biggest opportunity. The biggest opportunity is, what if that helps you get out there and sign 3 or 4 or 5 more cases?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then we're
Yeah.
talking much bigger return on your investment.
Yeah, no doubt. And what are the typical problems or maybe inefficiencies that you commonly will help law firms solve?
Yeah, great question. So first and foremost, the biggest mistake that I see made and the biggest challenge that I see with law firms right now is, well, there's two, and they kind of go hand in hand, is pricing and payroll. So right now we're seeing very, very low unemployment in the legal space. Finding people is incredibly difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a study done by Forbes at the end of last year on small businesses. In the typical business, labor makes up 70% of expenses. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely
Wow, 70.
Yeah, it's a big number.
That is
It's
a
a
big
big number. So 70% of your expenses. And so when you're not priced right, you don't have the right profitability, which also means you don't have the money to go and make that next hire.
Mm-hmm.
And so the two go hand in hand. But a lot of times what I see, especially as law firm owners grow and they go from, oh, I'm a solo law firm owner, to maybe I've now added a paralegal, to then I make that first attorney hire, they don't raise rates enough, right? Where they were at as a solo, and they're just trying to get work in the door, right? And so by far, hands down, and even in established firms, I find that rates aren't raised enough. So that is by far, hands down, my number one thing that I fix and work on with law firms when we get started, is making sure that you're priced right and that you have the right margins and that you can hire the right people.
Okay. And do you help streamline operations too? I mean, are you looking at the whole structure of the business?
For sure. Yeah. So especially as it relates in their finance department, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Right. But I'm always looking at, with the attorneys that I work with, productivity. Right. And even if you're billing on a flat rate basis and you're not, tracking hours, so to speak, we can still look at productivity and seeing, like, well, how many cases on a flat rate basis could this lawyer handle, right? What do you think their capacity is? So we're always looking at profitability. We are looking at operations in that way. Now, if I have a partner working with me, like maybe you're a lawyer out there and you've got a business coach, or maybe you're a little bit bigger and you've got a COO, I definitely work very, very closely with that person. I definitely do not take their job. All right. So the beauty of, like, I love relationships where we have like a fractional COO, or we've got a business coach, someone that's really like making SOPs and really looking at procedures and how things work. Because from a finance perspective and from a numbers perspective, I can dive in and find, like, oh, there's a little bit of inefficiency here, or, oh, we're not quite getting the numbers that I see my other law firms get. And then together, after I pinpoint the financial piece, we can dive in with the operations person and really build out a solid plan and structure on what we're going to get done and what we're going to change and turn around, so that we do hit the numbers that we want to get to.
Obviously, any business owner wants to minimize expenses and stuff. So what do you think people, particularly, what do you think law firms get wrong about what it is that you do, or people like you, and where your value is?
In their general nature, most accountants are just taught in school and cut expenses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is just their gut go-to. Now, I do think in today's day and age, there are some traps, especially as it comes to like recurring like expenses, like softwares that you sign up for that don't end up getting used, and then you end up paying for it. I mean, it becomes like a gym membership, right?
Yeah, totally. I was just gonna say, it's like the old gym membership thing. Yeah, totally.
I mean, I think if it wasn't for gyms, I think that kind of model would be outlawed. I really do, right?
You might be right.
But obviously we know that that's really their livelihood. But anyway, so I think that there's some things that maybe you can do there. But the much bigger lever to pull is definitely on the case volume side, is on the efficiency side, and is on the pricing side. And so my actual gut, my go-to is not to come in and just start cutting expenses. Again, I kind of view that as accountant terminology and accountant thinking, and that's really not the strategy that I'm bringing to the table.
It sounds like you're kind of looking at this as a bigger picture kind of a thing, not just like, okay, where can I save money? Where can I save money? Like you've got a larger vision.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my work is done at that 10,000 foot overview or 30,000 foot overview, whatever kind of, analogy you want to put in there. But for sure, it is long-term vision, long-term growth, long-term stability, a long-term plan. All of those things are really, really important. Again, your CFO is the first position that you have that's really forward looking. A lot of what I do is forecasting and building out, where are we going? How much cash are we going to have in the bank 6 months from now, right? Not today, but 6 months from now, right? And if we are going to run into a cash problem for some reason, what are things that we can do and adjust and pivot today to help prevent that in the future? And we have more time to plan for it.
Yeah, that sounds better than reacting to me.
It is. This is kind of a side tangent, but I do want to throw this in here. I am a firm believer. Everybody knows the statistics from the Small Business Administration, right? Like half of businesses fail in 5 years, right? I am a firm believer that is because we don't have enough people with an accounting and finance background that understand accounting, understand cash flow, going into the advisory and strategic kind of work that my firm does. There are too many accountants and financial professionals in just the compliance world. And I understand there's a ton of compliance work to be done, but we definitely have a shortage on that advisory side, because if we had more advisors and we had more people looking at cash flow and forecasting forward and problem solving when we have problems, we would have less businesses today that would run out of cash and run out of business.
You see that all the time in the startup world, right? I mean, all the startups, all these brilliant young kids who can build the most amazing tech products, can code anything in the world, but they start running a business and they have no idea what cash flow means. They have no idea how to forecast or how to set legitimate goals or any of that stuff.
And when they go out and get financed, it adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
Because
they spend.
Yes. I mean, you just levered yourself, right? I mean, your leverage point just changed, and it's not just, hey, we're bootstrapping this anymore. You've just added fuel to the fire.
Yeah, and you got all this money in your bank account, and you're like, "Ooh, I could use a new car."
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of how you helped guide a law firm to either grow or just stabilize and be more efficient?
Yep, for sure. This is one of my favorite stories. I just got through looking at, it was just 2 months ago, final numbers from 2024 compared to 2023 for a law firm that I worked really closely with. When I showed up in 2023, we had attorneys that were at 52% utilization. And I think utilization is another topic we're going to get into later. But that means that basically if they're working 40 hours, they're only billing 52% of those hours, right?
Wow.
So really, really bad. Right. I mean,
yeah,
really, really, really bad. The good law firms that I work with really have 80 to 85% utilization efficiency. So we've got a big gap there, right? Huge opportunity. And it took some time to transform. But in 2024 over 2023, we only added about $200,000 in revenue. So it was about the same business. We're talking like 1.8 in revenue to about 2.1 ish, maybe a little bit short of 2.1. All right. So from a revenue growth standpoint, that's not a big percentage of growth.
Sure.
From a profit standpoint, we grew profits 438%.
Oh, that's good. That's pretty good.
A little bit. Yeah, it's just a little good.
Wow.
But those are the kind of things that you dive in and find. And especially, some of the attorneys that we were working with at this firm were outsourced contract attorneys, right? Like of counsel. And all of a sudden, when they have a 52% utilization rate, you think you're paying them $100 an hour for their work. And in reality, you're paying them $200, right? And that makes a massive, massive difference. And so
when you put it that way, it really kind of drives it home.
Yes. And so, I mean, there was a lot of changes that we made, right? procedurally as far as how hours were tracked, what's billable, what's not, what our expectations were around admin hours. I mean, obviously, every week the firm has a stand-in meeting on Zoom that's an hour, so they can, talk about cases, update things, from the law firm standpoint, and just have an internal meeting. By all means, put that hour in, bill us for it. And we understand that it's not getting billed to a client, right? But beforehand, like, there was no expectation set around how many admin hours do we expect, right? And some of the things we were looking at too were entries that should have been billed to the client that weren't put on the client bill because attorneys, they have different views on things. And so they felt like, oh, this shouldn't be billed to the client. This was more of a internal collaboration and strategy session, when in reality, it should have been billed to the client. And so
if it was a strategy session based on what we should do with the client, then I would say that's
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So looking at some of those things, I mean, those opportunities, you think about, and granted, these attorneys weren't full-time because they're contract, but you think about taking someone from 52% utilization to, let's just say, 80, or just to make the math easy, because I know lawyers don't love math, 82, right?
Neither do podcast hosts.
A 30% increase in utilization. You think about that for your full-time employees.
Yeah.
If you want them to bill 1,500 hours in a year, right? And maybe they're falling short of that. I mean, think about that 30% increase over the span of a year, right? We started making some of these changes at the end of 2023, and we made the big changes at the end of 2023, still made some small tweaks in 2024, and we really, really saw the results of it by the end of 2024. That 438% increase in profits. So it's a big deal. Yeah,
that is a big deal. I imagine that was a happy client.
It is. Yeah. I really set up all of my clients. We're going to look at the numbers in the beginning, and we're going to look at where we're going, and kind of like I talked about, forecasting forward. If I can't make you 2x what you're paying me, it doesn't make sense for us to work together. Right. I mean, that client ended up more like 5-6x, and I'm fine with, right? That means they're really happy. It's a client I'm going to work with for many, many years to come. And they've really seen the value of having someone on their team that can forecast and look forward and help fix things.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's really impressive. All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Legal CFO with Ryan Kimler. If you're ready to get financial clarity for your law firm, visit NetProfitCFO.com. And if you like what you hear, please like our videos, follow us, leave us a review. We got lots more coming your way. A lot of great advice from Ryan to help you with your finances at your law firm. Ryan, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate your time, and I look forward to more going forward.
For sure. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.